Hi, I'm Beezy Rieger. It's February 27th, and I'm doing a rambling by the river. And I don't think you can see the little Aussie tail feathers, but Keegan's down here too. And it's a beautiful day. It's not soft weather, it's not raining, it's not pouring, it's not torrential rain. It's just a lovely day. So, we decided that if we still remembered how to do it, we'd come sit a piece and doing a rambling by the river. And when I got nudged to come on down and do it, one of the things I thought would be fun was to share a little experience that I had, because ever since then it's been a terrific metaphor in moving through, noticing, acting as an explaining platform for all sorts of things going on internally to me, in my personal life and work life and experiences, and all the different challenges and changes there, and on the world stage and in the collective. And so the rambling is called Seeing into the Rainbow Mists. And the wonderful experience I had the other day, I was at work, it was early in the morning, and I was outside doing something, and it was very soft weather, very not really raining, not really misting, but just kind of a light combination of those things. And as I was focused on what I was doing, I also was able to be looking over a list on my phone of something that I would do in the next part of my responsibilities. And so it was in a notepad screen feature. There was no color, white screen with just some black text. And I was I was involved in, ensconced in the list and adding to it. So that whole event that was about to come next, and thinking about that, planning it out. And as I pulled back, out of the list, I would say, out of that immersion, out of that focus. So my fierce focus, my undivided attention of the list and all that encompassed, released, and so you could say my eyes went soft focus for a moment. And to where I was then actually looking at the screen and noticing the screen instead of being deeply involved in something. And I describe it this way because it's part of the way that I did, and others, if they choose to play with it, can back engineer it as a tool. And as I was doing that, I noticed the screen, the little iPhone screen, and at first I noticed, little tiny raindrops, so to say, or mist drops, until I noticed them and looked at them, and they were all rainbow colored. And so first part of my mind thought, well, it's an electronic device, and this screen is the screen is giving off color. No, because there was just the white screen with the only thing that was a darker color on the screen was the ink, so to say, on the note. Anyway, so as I noticed it, and I came up with different reasons to poo-poo it, or to shoot it down, or to invent it with something else, or whatever, and I let all of that go for a moment. Do not fall in that river. As I let all of that go for a moment and just noticed the raindrops, and got immersed and focused in that, and the details, and how the different raindrops actually were not isolated, they were connected in their juxtaposition to each other on the screen, and as one new one would land and all of that, I could truly see not only were they were perfectly formed rainbows, no colors, on the screen, different sizes, and some didn't have all the colors, some maybe just a spectrum, as if, you took an eyedropper full of rainbow and put it on the screen. And as new ones fell, they were the same rainbow colors as well. I've seen it since, repeatedly, pretty much all the time, since we've had rain a lot. I don't remember really ever seeing it, certainly not on a regular basis before that. So that tells me that things within my vision have changed and expanded, things within the energy frequencies have changed and expanded, things within the molecular structure of physical air and wind and water anomalies have changed. But what was most fascinating was to realize to use it as a way to draw my attention back, whatever it may be focused on, and notice how each piece of data or each revelation or each news headline or each tweet or each soundbite or each, breaking X, Y, or Z, whatever. Hey, that's not safe. Come here, please. How they all piece together. And when I notice them and notice that they are not at all separate, even though they may be in one particular focus or another, that they are all connected, which is something that I've known and been saying for a long time. But each one has, as a metaphor, their own rainbow effect, their own colors, their own luminescence, their own integral. You can see that each is integrally linked, and as you look at one and focus on it, one piece of data, one headline, one thing that's transforming or becoming transparent in your life, however you would kind of isolate them down, and you glance for a minute at an aspect of something else. So you could use the same words, another aspect of a piece of data or a headline or an event or something that was revealed or a tweet or whatever. And instead of focusing on what that new thing that you're looking at is just for itself, look at it in connection, in conjunction with what you were first pulling your focus out of, what you were first going up. So if you have, let's say, there's a couple Trump tweets, and maybe there's a headline going on, and I'm just going to play with the external world data for a minute, and you take each of those as the different raindrops that I had noticed that were rainbows in each little drop of water, and noticing the whole connectivity of that. When I use that as the metaphor for focusing on one piece of data and then just glancing and noticing the others, I'm not assigning, oh, that's a tweet. I'm not assigning, oh, that's a headline. Or I'm not assigning that's a right wing or a left wing. I'm not assigning that's a good or a bad. I'm just noticing it purely for what it is. And because my focus, my mental focus, my energetic focus, I think probably a lot of things are going on there, I can catch the similarities. I can catch what I'm really actually doing is catching the frequency, bandwidth of those things that from a linear aspect could be seemingly unrelated or juxtaposed or differential to each other. Yet I can from a soft focus, and I don't just mean with the eyes, on the way that you're reading it, quote unquote, reading it and encountering it and meeting what that story, what that data, what that perception of yours is encountering. Your sensory array has the ability, and it's quite an incredible ability, to connect the dots. I mean, it's kind of to take the aspects, to take the components, to take the threads of, I'll go linear for a minute, storyline or components of the data and the storyline within the data points, and show you where the interface, interconnection, interweave, intersect points are, and the sensory array, the telemetry within you, the decoding mechanism within you puts them together. So you could say different raindrops. My fingers are, different raindrops. You can see the similarities. You can see the connectivity. Or you could use these fingers, as tweets or a document or a headline or an event or other data points. And instead of just focusing on, wow, this data point is X by X and this and that, you're looking at it and just noticing it. So there's no attachment to it, there's no reactivity to it, there's just a noticing of it. And something comes on, and some people may do this at first actively and they know it. This I just noticed with the rainbow mists. I thought, oh, that's interesting, and played with that, and then probably because my phone, I was looking at something and a data point, and there was mist on the screen again, and they were rainbow mists, and I got the correlation between it. I'm not explaining it very well. Apologize about that. But what I discovered is that it is a way to bring my telemetry, my sensory array, my decoding ring, my decoding mechanism, my decoding algorithms, even further online, into an even more expanded way. And it reveals so much more data, so many more facets, so many more threads in the story of just one piece of data, or one, whether that's, again, a tweet or whatever it is, right? Doesn't really matter. Not only does it do that for that one piece, but it illuminates and highlights and like a searchlight may sweep over something, that illuminates something, it will catch the refraction back of what it's illuminating. And you can now start to, if it's pitch black and just the light comes by and gives you pieces of information and the illumination happens, your brain will piece together the landscape, which, in essence is dark and you can't see anything, but in those moments of light you can then orient yourself. You can then have a spatial relation picture of the topography, the landscape, and what's going on. So, very crude way, I'm sorry, just describing it, but the results and how it seamlessly builds on itself to do that, and what it allows you to do. Again, in things that you're working on or noticing or playing with within internal to you, in just your own personal life, that's just you without any other components of the personal life, to interactions, to job, to something you're doing at a job, mechanics or function or projects, to different connectivity you have with other beings, with other people, with other components of your life, and to the wider, broader, out there-ness of things that are unfolding. So I'd finish by saying that on one level it's very cool, because if you hadn't noticed it before, you truly see that everything is connected and everything is related, and the dots and the pieces all fit together. They always have, and now it's unmistakable. And you can read and see, would be one way to say it, or you can notice and catch different nuanced components of something as you look at the data. So as you read something, or as you hear a conference given, or a report given on something, it's beyond just the words that are spoken and the facts or the subject matter or the details that are given. It's how all of it goes together, especially since in your capacitor, that's and decoder that's coming online, you can be looking at this thing over here and reach into something else that's been filed away, or that's part of that, and put those together. Maybe it's one of those things that I'd have to come up with some specifics for you, but whatever the topic that you land on, at the very least, it's fascinating because it is direct empirical evidence, data, and knowing that everything is connected. There is no separation, excuse me, truly between anything. And that there's this marvelous flow and coherence and cohesion in every aspect of our life, and what we are experiencing in our, as we would read it, our reality, our individual realities, and as they mesh with other beings' individual realities to create that unified field. That would be the very least of the picture that you see unfold. Expanding it out a bit more and seeing all the benefits of it, seeing all the cool tools of it, is that it really helps, especially now, as we speed up even more, as the crashing down of the old false construct heightens, escalates, speeds up, the implosion factor intensifies. It's a very helpful tool for staying centered, for being able to read the waters of what's happening, for being able to make sense of it and be in your core and be in your heart and not be freaking out and not, getting knocked off center, knocked off your beam of knowingness because some new bit of data has come that's, upsetting you or frightening you or disconcerting you or angering you or whatever it is. It's taking the reading of the world and what's going on from an intellectual, just, kind of intellectual thought process way to encountering it with your full sensory array. So you're seeing into the mists and you realize that it's not just mist. they're rainbows. Each drop of mist is a rainbow, and each rainbow drop of mist holds all the colors. And each color has a different vibration, and each vibration of each color actually can be discerned and picked up as color, wavelengths of color, read as notes that the colors, the frequency of the color plays, and so on and so forth. You can bring up, so it's not a one-track isolated thing. That's interesting. So it's unity, it's oneness, and the singularity of each piece of data combined. And your place, your part, your wondrous contribution, and acting in of all of that, and how integral you are to all of that. And my linear brain said, well, I think they had to be there. And that could be, but hopefully your heart can connect with that and use your own sensory array to decode it and ask to have your own experience with that unfold, to give you some better interpretation, better reading, better understanding, better ease and flow into everything that's crumbling down and coming forth, blooming and beginning, because it's all simultaneously. I love you.